Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also, but the debaters really, yeah, it's really not up to much. Not much integrity shown. So I will read some comments, but first we'll do this simulation. So when I finish the web page, okay, that's linked below. When I add stuff to it, I will be adding this video and a link to the GitHub page that has the code that was this far along, okay, in terms of creating a simulation. Whoops, so I made an electron over here. Anyway, so I can pop electrons and protons in here, and you can watch their behavior, and you'll see that, yes, it works quite well, actually. That they move obviously into each other. Now, this code doesn't have them where they turn into dipoles, so they're just, it's just letting the simple 2 plus 2 plus 3 function happen. But you can see that it's clearly, it creates these charged entities. If they're dipoles, then you can understand they're going to start spinning and orienting to each other, and that all does also work in the other simulation to some extent. So it just subtle changes to the simple rules, but these are just the simple rules. So if the red bit hits a red object, it's going to give it momentum or take away the momentum it has in an opposite direction through reflections. If it's not moving, then it's going to give it motion. If it's moving in the same direction as the force hits, it's going to give it more velocity. So it makes perfectly good sense that something like a gamma ray behind, an electron would push an electron at a very high speed. So things like muons and things can be understood as not being anything extraordinary, nothing else other than an electron moving very fast. That kind of argument can be made. Don't need to even go there to just explain that this duplicates charge, and that's the point. Okay, it creates charges. And they do exactly what Maxwell described in terms of their behavior. Now, in this case, it is a one-dimensional flat plane, so there's only there's no inverse square law. Okay, right. I have to keep thinking if I said something right. There's no r squared rule because you're only creating force in one dimension. So if both dimensions were included, then it would double the attraction and double the repulsion. So it's a lot of force, and it obviously gets proportionally stronger the closer they get together by the inverse square rules, where in this case the force doesn't get that much stronger. It would get a lot stronger if it was a three-dimensional model. But anyway, it's still obvious what's taking place. Again, you could just imagine that if they didn't go through each other, they would just be creating dipoles. And the fact that they're staying on top of each other is indicating that there's enough energy where they stay connected. Once they connect, it's kind of difficult to pull them apart. So now and then one of them will fall apart, but it's not a common event once they're stuck to each other. So, so I'm just saying, you can see the blue things, you can sort of see it, I imagine, emit blue constantly flying out of them because any red force is converted into a blue force, and vice versa for the red, and, creates perfect attraction between the red and the blues, and repulsion between red, and blue, and such. And so forth, and whatnot. I haven't tried really crowding the environment, but let's see. Let's see if I put a bunch of extra reds in, what happens. I was going to suggest that maybe they'll move to the outside, and I guess they're sort of doing that a little bit. So the simulation does account for the fact that the external universe is always consistent, and so it's always applying the same amount of force. So the force coming in doesn't change because these objects consume a little bit, and that keeps things balanced and prevents it from being distorted by the fact that it's a very limited universe. It's very small, and ideally the real universe, really big. But you can't simulate really big. Anyway, so just wanted to add this, so for anybody who needs to see it happening, okay, who couldn't imagine it from the explanation itself, there it is. Okay, working. That's what charge does by literal physics's description. This is what they would predict electrons and protons to do, and this simple mechanism satisfies that prediction. Alright, so that's probably enough, and so we'll go to, maybe I'll just keep this on the screen and we'll just do comments, because there isn't much. I've already deleted a couple. So, yeah, I'm just not going to put up with the bullshit. If you don't, it's all sock account nonsense. It's all a terrible waste of time. So, you have to be accountable. If you're going to ridicule me, you have to be accountable. I mean, come on, I should be able to piss on you for eternity. Okay, if you're going to talk big, bold nonsense, it should be my right, okay, because I am right, to use you as an example of just how stupid and irrational and, unreliable common humans are, because they're so dishonest. They can't comment within any proportion. They're going to make this personal somehow, and all that crap. So some asshole calls the boat, ha ha. Whatever. So he's laughing my fucking ass off. And this is just so typical, where, they watch 10 minutes of a video and think they're going to debunk a 10-year-old theory. It's just ridiculous. Okay, what is your model explaining? What is your model explaining why? So obviously it's not even a correct sentence. So he's laughing his ass off and he can't even be literate. Okay, what is your model explaining why the clocks on GPS satellites have a correction applied for the difference in the passage of time experienced by each satellite versus that experienced by a atomic clock earthbound computer? Yeah, and let's understand, the ones time dilated, the ones that are moving slower because they're time dilated, are the ones on the Earth. So the ones not going fast, the ones not speeding on a satellite. So it's actually the general theory, right? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Einstein has the two, special and general, and it's the gravity theory that's controlling stronger than the velocity theory. And I would argue, for the obvious explanation I've given so many times, is that you're bouncing in the gravity. And as you bounce, you add distance to how much you're moving this way. So it's almost like angular momentum. You can hide a bunch of extra velocity by bouncing up and down. The basketball travels a lot faster than the basketball player. So we on Earth in the heavy gravity are being bounced a lot more, and therefore travel technically a much higher velocity. Okay, earthbound computer they communicate with. How does your model account for the fact that the correction factor was calculated based on Einstein's? So a guy who worked in GPS for like 30 years said, no, we don't use Einstein's calculations. All right? They don't. And it doesn't give you a correct answer. All right? It just gets, oh yes, it's going to be an answer somewhere like, okay, it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 400. So there's nothing about Einstein's theory that it has any precision whatsoever. So all of this is just made up storytelling. They just turn the dial on the clocks and match them. Okay, they don't sit there and do any calculations, retard. All right, and the equations describing how mass and energy curve space-time. So again, more nonsense. And again, it's the point is that where have you ever proven, okay, that atomic clocks can't be broken? That velocity wouldn't break an atomic clock. Where have you proven that you can't change the decay time of an isotope when we already know we can? You just smash a bunch of the crap together and it'll start changing. You can take atoms that take 10,000 years to decay, and you can turn them into atoms that decay in 500 years, or 50 years, or 5 years, by just crowding them. So fuck you, you're wrong. How does your model explain observations initially predicted by general relativity made during the total solar eclipse in 1919? So can you believe this asshole brought that up, right? The Eddington experiment. So he doesn't know anything about it, right? He says, where light from stars located behind the sun. So this is a complete fable. It's a complete lie, complete nonsense. The object being observed was way far away from the sun, frankly. It was more than a radius, more than a diameter in distance from the sun. Because obviously they have to get outside of the scatter zone, retard. And so it wasn't behind the sun, okay? That's all part of the hyperbole, okay? I think hyperbole is a much more fun word, but anyway, of fake physics. That's their signature. Exaggeration, exaggeration, and exaggeration. So behind the sun means you can create an Einstein ring, right? Which, frankly, okay, if you go look up Einstein ring, you'll see images that are so bad and completely not what Einstein predicted, which is perfect symmetry, okay? Einstein basically stated, look, you'll never see one because they're so thin, and second, they'll be perfect. They have to be perfect, okay? Were observed and captured in the early photograph. So again, you ask your satirical, insulting question, and you don't even know the facts. So you really should be held to account, right? Why should some anonymous coward sock account pussy be able to type this crap, okay, and I can't beat him over the head with it for the rest of eternity? You should be used as an example of just how irresponsible, lazy, sloppy, dirty, smelly, fart out your mouth garbage human beings are. As if they suddenly moved millions of light years, so none of this happened. Okay, they don't even show Eddington's glass slides. And I think something like all of them are missing. Yeah, but anyway. Okay, and snapped back immediately after. So all this stuff didn't happen. Okay, none of this herky-jerky motion didn't happen. None of that. All he did was compare two blurs, okay, time-lapse blurs, and state that somehow they were a little bit not in the same place. Yeah. Okay. I know I won't change your mind, but I hope to prevent you fooling any curious, unlucky folks with this pseudo-scientific word salad. So we just know who just word saladed all over the place. You made claims about the Eddington experiment that are just wrong, okay, non-factual. You didn't point out the actual facts, which is his data was 10% of the quality he was expecting. 10%. It was so bad. Let's see, recommend it to them by YouTube inexplicably despite the triple-digit view count. So again, alright, hopefully I'm back. For some reason, you gotta wonder. It's always something technically with computers. But anyway, yeah, the file size on the video is insane for no reason that I can detect. But anyway, so the simulator is now off. But anyway, you can just look at the drawing. Yeah. Alright, so let me just finish this stupid comment, which now I have to find again. And yeah, okay. Alright, snap back immediately after. Triple digit view count. I think that's the last word ended off. So, again, who cares about this view count thing? And he's basically saying that YouTube should censor content, and somehow YouTube knows the truth, and so YouTube should decide what we get to see. That's not the world I want to live in, fucker. Anyway, any further proof is that this model cannot explain the above observations. Well, of course it can, and it can state pretty obviously that some of these observations, like the 350-year-old claim that 4 pounds dropped 1 foot is the same as 1 pound dropped 4 feet, have not been demonstrated by any evidence, and there's plenty of evidence saying that can't possibly be true. Plus all the other accurate predictions. So this is the vague notion that they always say this crap. Sean Carroll, the rest of it, they just keep hyping this crap. That's the most predictive theory in the history of mankind. What predictions did it make? Where did it do all this predicting? I don't see any of that. Predicting the existence of dark matter and antimatter. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll give you those silly predictions. Anyway, made by modern physics. Had to be a Nobel Prize winner. We wouldn't hear about this from YouTube. And let's see. Competency in physics would not correlate negatively to the likelihood of enjoying this guy's video. So whatever any of that much meant. But, fuck you. I mean, you're just such a despicable, lying sack of garbage. To sit there and type crap for which you know nothing about. You really don't know any of the details. You haven't researched any of the history. You probably don't know who Leibniz was. You don't know what a monad and a soliton are. His theory. Okay, his elemental theory was that everything was a spirit. Is that what you believe, fucktard? Okay, that everything's a spirit? A God-driven, a God-motivated spirit being thing. You fucker. Anyway, so anyway, if you can't really, if you don't have a real account, you can't talk trash. That's going to be the simple rule. Because this is just a waste of my time to go through stuff I've already explained and stuff I've already argued. And you just couldn't care less to pay any attention to the theory and what's actually argued in the theory. Again, some of these arguments have been reduced to 5-minute videos on the debate channel, and on the other channel there are simple categories, of the subjects, and you really have to argue something in those videos. And if you're going to sit there and do your little hatchet job on a video where you aren't even on the subject of the actual video, then fuck you, okay? I mean, it's a wave-particle duality video. He typed that crap on it. I mean, it's just nonsense. I don't have to put up with that shit. Alright, so I think that's it. Some guy said, I actually like this. The only thing I can add to this is the communication, the conversion of energy into matter. I don't really think you need that, frankly. So I don't know why you'd worry about actually accounting for one or the other. The existence of these things is real, and we know it's a crude mechanism. The basic is a push-averse. I mean, come on. It just doesn't matter whether... I mean, even if you speculate that, okay, well, there was elementally energy first, and then the energy... somehow some event takes place and the energy stops moving and it becomes matter, electrons and protons. Who cares? I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with the reality we exist in. And you just, it's like having the details of abiogenesis. Yeah, it'd be nice, but you don't need it. I mean, evolution isn't about the creation of a DNA molecule. It's about the evolution of a DNA molecule. All right. But whatever. I mean, whatever. There's no communicating with moron humans, frankly. They always have to pervert everything into their human-centric view. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to do the add-on. I wanted to provide I should have had this simulation in the other video. I didn't. So anyway, there's a link below to a page that isn't written yet. And so you can expect more details regarding this specific subject of charge to be there. Obviously, if you were doing that, you didn't need to listen to this crap about the commenters. You just should have watched the simulation and said, oh, yay, yeah, that does work. All right, anyway. Till the next time and such, this has been, draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com video presentation.